Thank you very much, Estes. So hello, everyone. My name is Michael Mareel. I'm from the permanent representation of Belgium to the EU, and together with my colleagues Benjamin Botson and Guillaume Pans, who are here with us today, I have the honor and the pleasure to chair in the first half of 2024 a working party of the Council of the European Union called the Working Party on EFTA. But as we are cool kids, we say COEFTA. In this group, representatives of the 27 member states convene together with the European Commission and the European External Action Service to discuss mainly on the position the EU takes on EEA matters and on the relations with Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway, but also with Switzerland, Andorra, San Marino, Monaco, the Faroe Islands and the Vatican. It's a fascinating group as a lot is happening with and in these countries. Now, as this gave me 6 to 7 minutes to talk to you about how the EU views 30 years of EEA cooperation, and in this case, more precisely, how the Belgian presidency of the Council of the EU views 30 years of EEA cooperation. Now, this is a subject one could talk about for 6 or 7 hours, not only because of the intensity of the cooperation in the past 30 years, but also of the huge challenges we are faced with today and that we must tackle together. So I will take this limited time frame as an excuse to go straight to the point. And it was very nice to notice that the previous speaker, the ambassador of Iceland, has largely the same point as I have, which is very comforting. That point is that for the EU, the 3 EEA EFTA states, Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway are the closest partners we have. And if I must try to explain what I exactly mean by closest partners, I of course have to start with the economic aspect. The Icelandic ambassador just said it, the EEA agreement is the most comprehensive agreement the EU ever entered into with non-EU countries. In the EEA agreement, the free circulation of persons, goods, services and capital through the application of homogeneous rules and policies is something we do not have with any other partner in the world. And the contribution of these 30 years of cooperation to economic development and prosperity for the nearly 500 million people within our 30 states is enormous. But closest partners goes a lot deeper than only the economic aspect. The importance of being so close when it comes to values and principles has in these 30 years perhaps never been bigger than today. Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway are partners the EU can trust with its eyes closed when it comes to democracy, individual freedoms, the rule of law and fundamental rights. When we see in the current geopolitical context these values are under constant and growing pressure, such a relation is invaluable. Unity, especially regarding Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, is of the utmost importance. Third meaning of closest partners is when we look to the future and the challenges that are in front of us in the short, medium and long term. I'm talking here in the first place about climate change and the green transition. Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway are very important partners in this context, in many different fields. To only just mention a few, some have already been mentioned: international climate cooperation, the exchange of know-how on renewable energy and safe and sustainable low-carbon technologies, including green hydrogen, carbon capture and storage, geothermal energy, solar power and projects in the North Sea. A second aspect I can mention is also the reflection going on the future of the internal market. The upcoming report of Enrico Letta was already mentioned, and it's clear that the EEA EFTA states are an integral part of the internal market and of course have to fully take part in shaping its future. But being a very close partner also requires a lot of work. You've been hearing a lot this morning on what the day-to-day management of this partnership entails. You heard about the way in which the EU law is incorporated into the EEA agreement, how the EU lawmaking is influenced by the reality of the EEA, what the contribution of the EEA EFTA states to social cohesion in the EEA exactly entails. And in the COEFTA working group, we only discuss about the elements with a significant specific political significance. So actually our part of the work is quite limited, but our colleagues from the European Commission have a huge daily task with this. But coming back to my limited 6 to 7 minutes to give you the essence of what the EU thinks about all this, it's very simple. It works. The function of today's EEA is fit for the future. There is trust from all parties in this solid base to continue our cooperation into the future. However, as the Icelandic foreign minister just said, we should never take this good functioning of the EEA agreement for granted, and we have to continuously invest in its working. Now, I've been so positive about this cooperation that you are starting to think that I'm trying to paint a too rosy picture of this cooperation. And of course, there are differences of opinion, there are discussions. It was mentioned earlier this morning, the most important element to mention here is the famous backlog, the delay in incorporation and transposition of EU law. And this remains a continuous point of attention as this poses a risk for the equal opportunities our countries have in our common internal market, the so-called level playing field. But also on this issue, there's a constructive cooperation and trust that this can be tackled. To quote an earlier speaker today, we are always able to find solutions. And to conclude, just like the speakers before me, I look forward with pleasure to the 22nd of March, when the Prime Ministers of Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway will meet with the members of the European Council. It will be a symbolic and special moment to see all 30 leaders together, showing how much they value this close and special relationship. Thank you for your attention.